Nancy and George are in Baltimore at the National Aquarium. For security reasons, the aquarium keeps track of every time someone enters or leaves the building. The culprit commits 5 crimes here. Nancy waits until the end of the book before checking the logbook and identifying the culprit as the only person who was there all 5 times. It's kind of annoying that it takes her so long to remember the obvious, easy way to solve the mystery.
Argo Flump Book Review, Argo Flump Book Review.
Nancy meets Annie Goodwin. If I can believe the suspect list, Annie is going to be killed sometime soon. Then again, the back cover says Annie dies before she meets Nancy, and that's not true. So maybe whoever comes up with the summaries for these books was just guessing at what happens. Annie runs a volunteer group that stops companies which are illegally polluting. She's been getting a lot of threats ordering her to stop. The culprit kills multiple animals as a warning. Now, maybe I'm a sucker for obvious suspects, but I think Nancy should start her investigation by looking into the companies that Annie's trying to put out of business. They're the ones with the best motive, right? Instead, Nancy prioritizes other suspects like Annie's jealous coworker Megan O'Connor and her angry coworker Chris Marconi. Now let me take a moment to discuss 2 not-so-good suspects. First, reporter Holly Payne, who gets the first cliffhanger of the book. She makes a big fuss because she heard someone say the word scandal. Holly appears twice after this, but she doesn't say anything, and she doesn't know Annie at all, so she's not really a good fake-out suspect. Same thing with Lydia. Shows up 3 times, only talks once, doesn't know who Annie is, doesn't care who Annie is. Can't really be a good fake-out suspect when she's totally not related to what's happening. A guy named Jackson gives tours throughout the entire book. He flirts with George a lot, and Chris flirts with Nancy a lot. Apparently, the aquarium is the place to go to meet flirty fish dudes. Chris and Annie get into a fight. The next day, Annie is murdered. Annie and her boyfriend Stuart were on a boat, spying on illegal dumpers. Stuart went to get the police, and by the time he got back, Annie and the boat were missing. Nancy finds the boat on Lydia's property, and she's confronted by a wild man with a shotgun. Wild man with a shotgun should have shown up again. He was way more suspicious than those other suspects. Nancy tries contacting Stuart, but he disappears. It looks like he's been kidnapped. He didn't take any clothes with him, and the culprit left a ski mask inside Stuart's bushes, but the police don't bother to investigate this angle. The culprit steals a baby seal. We're told they got away with it by blocking a security camera, but the book confirms the seal weighs 80 pounds. There's gotta be more to the kidnapping than that, right? Did the culprit have a wagon or something to carry the seal? Megan is devastated by the seal's kidnapping. She argues they should disband the task force. Megan's seen with a stout red-headed man shortly before the culprit turns off the lights and pushes Nancy into the pool. Nancy gets an anonymous message telling her to visit the rainforest area at 9 p.m. She thinks it could be a trap. Could be a trap? No, it definitely is a trap. This is like the 5th book in a row where the culprit has lured Nancy into a death trap with an anonymous note. Nancy really needs to learn to stop responding to these things. Sure enough, the culprit ties Nancy up in a net. She has to cut through the net and swing to a bridge, which is 10 feet away. Nancy finally decides to investigate the companies that Annie was trying to put out of business. No, seriously, Annie caught one of them in the very act of breaking the law moments before she was killed. Nancy should have investigated these companies way sooner. Yeah, the timing of her death could be a coincidence, but I doubt it. Nancy snoops at the one company, which is a paper mill. She is caught by Cribbins, a stout red-headed man with a familiar face. Nancy fails to recognize him. The culprit attaches a gold ring to Chris's diving equipment. As the cover shows, this causes a barracuda to go wild and try to kill him. It's kind of weird that the cover has a picture of Chris pointing to Chris being attacked. Maybe the cover artist didn't think this through. Nancy finds Stuart inside of Annie's boat. Stuart says he's been in hiding ever since he was attacked by a stout red-headed man. Stewart has been spying on the various companies in the meantime. He managed to clear one of them, which is more than Nancy's done so far. The culprit sends Nancy Deadfish, and she solves the mystery by total chance. While visiting a tourist spot, Nancy sees Megan with her red-headed mother, Mrs. Cribbins. Cribbins from the paper company is Megan's brother. Nancy and George break into the paper company. They find some files which prove the company's paying Megan and Cribbins to destroy the task force. They also find the seal in a storage closet. It's kind of amazing that Cribbins kept a seal in a closet at work for days and nobody found it. Nancy confronts Megan. Cribbins sneaks up on Nancy and captures her. He ties her up, attaches a weight, and leaves her to drown in a pool. Luckily, Nancy is rescued by some helpful dolphins, who think this is a fun game of lift the human to the surface. Megan and Cribbins try to kidnap the seal again. Chris uses animal tranquilizer to knock Cribbins unconscious, while Nancy uses her karate moves, which would have come in handy multiple times earlier in this book. The end. Post-book follow-up. Okay, I was mean to this book in my review. It's not a very good book. It's actually really boring. Nancy doesn't investigate until Annie dies in chapter 5, which is a quarter of the way through the book. So the first quarter of the book is really just a lot of nothing. It's mostly Nancy getting a tour of the aquarium. And I'm not sure how to feel about the aquarium stuff. It's vaguely interesting, but about a third to a half of it is ultimately irrelevant. It deals with animals and places that never get seen again. I feel cheated when a book spends multiple pages discussing man-eating sharks, and there are no sharks in the book. Like book 33, I'm wondering if this book had a big rewrite at the last minute. That would explain why the summary's wrong and why the book is off balance in general. Like I said, first quarter of it's irrelevant, and we've got two suspects who only talked once? So maybe the book had a rewrite, maybe it didn't. Either way, it's just slow and boring. It's not painfully bad like some other books in this series, but it's still pretty bad. I give Nancy Drew Files number 68, Crosscurrents, a 2 out of 10.